In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I sign a reoccurring $6,500 per month SEO client step by step. This isn't going to be some regular video from an SEO guru telling you to sell SEO services to local businesses for $500 or $1,000 one-off projects. I'm going to give you 6 steps you can follow to land your first high-ticket paying client. I'll even show you real email conversations that led to these types of deals. And I've been using this exact process for the past 2.5 years to sign $6,500 a month clients, $7,000 a month clients, $10,000 a month clients, and $13,000 a month clients. The principles in this 6 steps are the same for every client that I've signed. I've just changed a few things, which I will talk about in this video. If it's the first time we met, hey, how you doing? My name is Omid. I've been doing SEO and content marketing and copywriting for better half of almost a decade now. I started in 2016 and I started off my career working for startups in tech in San Francisco. And that's where I got kind of my foundations of my career built and learned all these skills. And then I quit my job 3 years ago to become a full-time blogger and a full-time freelancer and start an SEO agency. And I have just been doing that for the past 2.5, 3 years. And today, my revenue from my client services and my own website, it is like 3 to 4x of what I used to make at my 9-to-5 job. And I really only work 4 days a week. I usually take Fridays off, or I just schedule Fridays for meetings here and there. But in order for me to do this, there were actually a few key things that made me stand out from other service providers and other people that try to do this. So I'm going to get into that in this video, with the first one being that it all started with a killer pitch that made it stupidly simple for a business not to take. So the first part was finding a killer SEO pitch, and this is essentially offering something for free that people just can't ignore. Now, what I think that a lot of service providers get wrong is they will try to spam outreach to a bunch of different people. They'll DM a bunch of people on social media or cold email them or send a bunch of LinkedIn DMs. And they're just saying like, hey, can we hop on a call? You're just asking for something from that person. And chances are, if you're reaching out to a business owner, they are getting hundreds of messages every week, and you're just going to be lost in a sea of emails and DMs. So you have to stand out by essentially giving value first, because everybody is pitching business owners and selling them stuff, and they're tired of being sold to. What you have to first understand is the mindset that when you go out to start a business is about giving value, and money is made when you create value. So money is made when value is made. You have to first make the value, and then the money will follow. So for this step, no automation. You want to do 100% personal outreach. This is the point in your business where you do things that don't scale. If you look at Paul Graham's essays, if you search do things that don't scale and read it, essentially this is what I'm talking about. So the first step is to understand that mindset that this is going to take time and you need patience. But once you get over that mindset, the first step is to, of course, get that killer SEO pitch out to a handful of different people. So first, what you want to do is you want to think about going top down. So you want to go after and target business owners, business like founders. And if you're targeting startups, not go after like heads of marketing or a CMO or VP. You won't always want to go as high as possible, because chances are if you reach out to, say, somebody who's a middle manager, they don't really care too much. They're going to blow off your email, and they're never going to go up management and tell them about your email. It's not going to happen that way. What happens is somebody from upper management or the founder gets an email, they like it, then they tell somebody below them about it to help take action, and that person will actually listen to the person above them. So you always want to go top down. So in this case, it's basically, like I said, reach out to the CEO. That's what I did to close this $6,500 a month client. I found a startup by going on LinkedIn, and I found the name of the CEO, and then I use hunter.io to find the email address of that CEO. And you can use different combinations to see and understand what's someone's email. It's not that difficult to figure out, but that's what you first want to do. Find their email address. Next, you want to show your value first. So this is actually an email that I wrote to sign this exact $6,500 a month client. I, of course, have to blur out a bunch of stuff because I want to keep it private and respect the client here. But essentially what I did was I sent a subject line that said, I can help you rank on the first page for and then insert a keyword that is a very bottom of funnel keyword. So I have a lot of articles on this already. If you look up like SaaS SEO or SaaS content marketing in Google, I have articles around this like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel keywords, but you want to find a very conversion focused keyword because you don't want it to be vanity metrics. You want to be able to pitch them a keyword that will actually drive real business results for them. And in this email, basically what I said was that I had quit my job and I started building a media company called Marketer Milk. And this kind of happened this client actually happened by accident. I was growing Marketer Milk in the early days and I just wanted to write on other publications to grow my brand. And this was one of those ways that I was going to do it. I was going to write a free guest article for somebody and rank it in Google really high because obviously I wanted that article to get traffic so people would land on it and learn about who the author was, who was the founder of Marketer Milk, this media company I was building. That was the initial plan. And so I reached out to them basically saying that I had started this company and that I wanted to just build up my portfolio for free. And I think that their company can really benefit from SEO. And there's a few companies and competitors in the space starting to do it. And that based off of their domain rating and their domain authority, I'm confident that I can help them rank for this keyword that I had in the subject line. And I pretty much ended it with saying that I would love to write a guest post free of charge going after this specific keyword and try to help you rank on the first page for it. And then I said, if this is something of interest, let me know. If not, no worries. Keep in touch. Or I sent this off. This company was in New York and this is right before I had actually moved to New York. So I said, would love to catch up one day, like when I'm in New York City. And you can say this to wherever that company is located, where you think that founder is located, and just make it very personable. And then you just kind of forget this. I mentioned that bonus points is to leverage this opportunity to grow your own media and personal brand. I will have more videos on this subject, but basically when you go out to sell SEO services and just become like a freelancer or an agency, you want to have, I believe, create a media company within the niche that you're in. So for example, I was in this niche of SaaS and marketing, and so I was building a media company in that niche. I want to become a notable voice in that space, so in the future when I do reach out to companies to work with them, they kind of already recognize my brand. But again, in this stage, the idea is you just reach out to a company and you offer to rank them on the first page of Google by writing them a banger of an article. And you expect nothing in return. That's it. You just leave it. And the way that I did this was I reached out to 3 different companies in 1 week doing this, and I just kind of left it and forgot about it and was just focused on building my media company on the side, which is why you want to have some other projects going on. Maybe you're working at a regular 9-to-5 job, which is totally fine, and you can totally do this on the side. You just want to be doing something so you're not getting desperate to sign this client. When you're desperate to sign clients, they can sense it and it repels them. So once you have step 1, we get into step 2, which is the delivery. And here you want to write the perfect blog post that's optimized for SEO. There will be a video that's popping up right now where I teach you exactly how to do this step by step. It's like a 40+ minute video, and you basically just want to do what I mentioned in that video. So go ahead and watch it after this, or open it in a new tab and bookmark it. But at this point, if you get a response from your email, there could be a possibility where you're either collaborating with a content person in-house at the company, or it's simply just the founder. They might forward your email to somebody internally, which is totally fine. The idea is you want to just build that relationship with whoever your point of contact is, and you want to essentially create an outline. So again, if you watch that YouTube video on the best blog posts, I show you how to create the outline. You can also go into Google and search content outline, and I have an article on exactly how to do this. And you want to create an outline of that article for that specific keyword that you agreed upon writing the guest article for in step 1. Then once that article outline is sent and the point of contact approves of it, you want to go ahead and just write the perfect article and send it back. And I have, again, videos on how to do this already on my YouTube channel, but you also want to optimize it with either using ClearScope or Surfer just to make sure it's the on-page SEO is set. And when you send that article back to them, you want to give them a checklist of things to also do when they go out and publish your guest article. So you want to make sure that you give them some publishing instructions. Things like making sure the URL slug only has the keyword in it, making sure that the images are JPEGs that are under ideally 100 kilobytes, making sure that they set alt text on their images, giving them other blog posts or other pages on their website where they should interlink this guest post with for the best chance of success, and then tell them about Google Search Console and Bing and how they should index or request index these within those platforms. Sometimes this can be a little bit overwhelming if you're working with a founder who is doesn't understand SEO and has no team. This might be a bit overwhelming, but if you're working with or you're pitching a company that has done some SEO but they haven't been that successful with it, they'll really appreciate all this advice. You just need to feel it out. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis, but the goal here is that you want your article to actually rank and do well for them and drive conversions. That's your end goal. So you don't want to cut corners. You don't want to use AI to write the content. Again, you want to write the best piece so it has the best chance of actually ranking. And again, if there's technical issues with their site, tell them what to fix. Things here you want to look out for is if they have proper schema markup on their blog articles. You can go to their blog and right click and look at the page source and look for the term schema. And if you see anything pop up, then that means they have it. If they don't, then you can bring it to their attention to add it. Same thing with canonical tags. You want to also search for that. And if they're set on every page, every blog article, then it's good. If it's not, then you want to make note of that and tell them. And then you also want to do a quick audit of their blog and see that their main title is an H1 heading, and then their subheadings within their articles are H2s, and they're just properly set. You want to basically make sure that the article that you're writing for them, when they publish it, it's set up to do as well as possible and it's set up for success. So that's just kind of those little tidbits. And I think if there are issues that they haven't addressed and you're telling them these stuff, you're actually increasing your own value through this process of giving value to them. And then you want to send it off. Obviously, if there's back and forth questions from them, answer them to your best abilities. Then at this point, you just want to be patient and expect nothing to happen. And then you want to go into stage 3. And in step 3 is essentially you want to repeat the first step and the second step. So be patient and expect nothing to happen, but do the same outreach process and write another free article if you can for a different company. And this essentially increases your odds of future success, which we'll talk about in step 4. But if you can plant these seeds of reaching out to companies, starting an email thread with them, and then basically putting yourself on their radar that you are this SEO person, that you can help them rank on the first page, and you're doing work for free for them by writing them a blog post and ranking it. These are the seeds that you plant, and the more you do this, the more chance that somebody is going to see that value and want to work with you long term. So I always like to think of this with everything that I do, with every email I send, every blog post I write, every YouTube video that I make, that I'm planting the seeds and I'm building relationships, and that's the only thing I have control over. I have no control over the outcomes. I have no control if someone's going to respond to me. I have no control on how many people are going to watch this video. I have no control on, when I write blog posts, how well they're going to rank and how many clicks they're going to get and how much affiliate commissions they're going to drive. I have no control over these, but I do have control over the quality of my inputs and how many seeds that I plant. And this whole idea is to just plant the seeds and let God, whatever you want to refer to it, I refer to it as God, grow them and take care of the outcomes. And really the benefit here is too that if you're able to land multiple guest posts, you can use it as an opportunity to link out to different guest posts you wrote beforehand to increase the odds of those ranking really high. And if those can rank really high, then you can, in step 4 is where you can start really winning. At the same time, you're also growing your own media brand if you do have a side project that you're building, whether it's media brand, whether it's another product or store or software, whatever it is. I always recommend having some sort of project on the side of doing your initial client work. And this is going to take some time. This took me around 2, 3, 4, 5 months of this process, which is why I mentioned multiple times to have something going on in the background. But my goal here is to not give you like feel-good content. My goal is to give you real advice that is brutally honest and will actually help you. And I'm not going to sit here and say you're going to be able to sign a $6,500 a month client in 1 month, in 30 days of doing absolutely nothing and doing absolutely nothing. It takes time, but gosh, am I so grateful that I stuck through this whole process and saw it through, because today signing clients just keeps getting easier and easier. But it all started with this, and this is the exact process that I took. So step 4, and this is where you do the follow-up. So sometimes they may reach back out to you. So for example, this $6,500 a month client, if you remember in the email, I wrote this in March of 2022, and then I completely forgot about it. And they reached out back to me in October of 2022 saying that the article was ranking really well and that they were really happy with it. But I actually experimented with this exact same approach for a client that I signed for $13,000 a month. And what I did was, after 2 months that they didn't reach out and I saw myself that it was ranking really well, I went and reached out to them. So check on the guest posts if they haven't reached out to you after a couple months, and see if it's ranking well, and reach back out to the founder or the first person you reached out to in step 1, and CC any contacts that you worked with in the free guest post process if you work with an editor or an in-house marketer or something, and show them just the results with a screenshot of how it's doing. And also in this email, mention that you're seeing a bunch of good SEO opportunities for their site, and bring up some competitors doing some of them and how you can help beat them. I think when you bring these competitors into play, it does this psychology to a lot of business owners and founders, where they pay attention a lot to like what their competitors are doing. And if you can show that to them and how you can beat them, I think it's going to bring a lot of value in your emails. And then in this follow-up email, you want to deliver free value one more time. And here is, I wrote an article. If you look up SaaS content marketing, I showed how to create a diagram that creates a like buyer's journey in the search results. If you can create this diagram, and I teach this in my content marketing course as well, if you can create a diagram sample for their business, this is how you'll just absolutely woo them. Not only did you already woo them by writing a free article, ranking it, and it driving them conversions, but now you're even adding more free stuff. So you're really starting to prime them for the sell, which is going to be coming up in step 5. You know the whole Gary Vee thing of jab, jab, right hook. Right now you jab them with a free guest post, and then you're going to do one more jab with this free value, where you create a sample content strategy with a diagram that's a visual. You can either create the diagram that's visual, or you can also create a spreadsheet on how to actually create this. I'll talk more about this probably in another video. If you want to learn more about this SEO strategy specifically that I use with clients, leave a comment below and I'll make that video, but I won't know unless you leave a comment. But anyways, you want to send that sample strategy to them, and then you want to ask to hop on a call to show what you're seeing and exactly how you can help them. And I did this with a potential client that I had reached out to, and I offered to meet up in person as well. So I actually started reaching out to companies that was a bit more local. At the time, I was living in New York City, and I basically reached out to a startup that was also in New York City. So I offered to meet them in person. And I actually did go and meet them in person, which I think really helped seal the deal, but it's not needed. I've signed clients that I've never met in person as well. And the idea is that you want to basically show them that you're becoming an advocate of their brand. These companies get pitched by agencies, by a bunch of different service providers that just want to use them to make money, but you have to come across as somebody that really loves their brand and really advocates for their products or services, because even those are the types of people that they want to hire full time. So you almost have to position yourself as somebody that is probably going to be one of their best full-time hires if they did that. And for context, this $6,500 a month client and every single client that I've worked with that's been a long-term, like month-to-month client, they've all offered me a full-time position as like an SEO lead at their company. And I've simply declined because I just make more money doing freelance work compared to just working for one company. But that's kind of what you should be striving for, is you want to be that valuable to a company. So be an advocate of their brand. Then in step 5, you want to package and pitch, and this is where you productize and sell your services. So at this point, they probably agree to either meeting in person or hopping on a call. And if you landed the call, here you just want to explain your process of how you would help them and be 100% honest about your experience. If you've done this for other companies, say that. If you haven't done this for a lot of companies, you don't have to go out and say that this is my first time doing this, but you don't have to tell them extra details they don't need to hear, but never lie. You can say it's your first time. This $6,500 a month client, I told them that it's my first time doing this type of package service. And so I actually billed them a lot lower. I sold the same package to a company, exact same one that I'm going to tell you about what it is in this slide, that for $10,000 a month. And I sold it initially for $6,500 a month. I really cut the price and I looked at what other businesses were charging in my space. And I basically just wanted to provide more value than those agencies, but also cut the price almost in half. Just to get the ball rolling and not only understand the workflow myself for future clients that I wanted to work with, but to also get that case study and to build that trust with this client. This client that I'm talking about in this video, the $65 a month client, they actually have sent me the most referrals out of any client that I've worked with because the founder just really loved working with me through this whole process. So be 100% honest with them. Honesty is what wins in business. Don't lie. Don't be somebody that you're not. If you're honest, you'd be surprised how far it's going to take you. And on that call, say that you love to work with them more and write more of these articles and help them rank for more keywords. And you want to act as an extension of their team as like a freelancer or a contractor if they're open to it. You don't want to act like an agency and say that you don't lock them in long-term contracts. Just make sure that they know you are the person that is going to be working with them. A lot of times companies work with agencies, especially in the software startup world. They'll work with agencies because they like the founder, then they sign onto the account and it's some like junior account manager that's managing the whole strategy, and they kind of burn the whole website and they don't re-sign the client, and the client doesn't like that agency. And that happens a lot. I've seen it happen multiple times. I've been on the end of actually hiring agencies like that when I worked in-house. So there's this kind of thing where if you can position yourself as a contractor or an extension of their team, this is how you're going to win that first really big month-to-month client. Don't pitch yourself as an agency right away. You want to make it super personable. And like I said, mention that you don't lock people into contracts and you want to focus on performance, which is conversions, over just vanity metrics like traffic. Clients love hearing that. So make sure you focus on that. And then they'll most likely ask you how much you charge on that call. And you don't want to say a number right away. And you also really don't want to ask what's their budget, because then that kind of sounds like you're trying to maximize your potential based off how much they're able to spend. But if they ask for the price, just say that you can send over more details in a follow-up email. They might just say the budget, and you can just leave it at that, but don't throw out your own number just yet. Say you'll follow up with details in an email. And then you want to send that follow-up email, and here you want to package and productize your services and have around 2 to 3 productized service packages. So these are the packages I created, and basically what I did was I told this client that they could start with the low package and scale over time, and that I would just give them a little discount just for trusting me in this process. So I billed them a little bit less than what this initial package was. And basically, if you can't notice already, how I package is basically on a base of net new pages that I create for them. So like net new articles per month. And then depending on the size of the client, sometimes they have a lot of existing content that was written by either a pretty bad agency that use a bunch of AI content or just very thin content. And I basically say that I'll optimize a certain number of existing pages already. And then if they like, they can do a number of backlinks, which normally you can white label this through multiple different companies that can help you do this. Again, if you want videos on all this stuff, let me know in the comments. This is just kind of like an overview of how I approach this whole process and how it happened. But tell them that you also know that SEO takes time and you want to start shipping content as soon as possible. So you're not going to waste like a month doing an audit like an agency would, and you're going to ship within the first week of starting. You want to kind of just, again, remind them and make them confident in you that you're not going to be some agency that takes their time. You're going to start as soon as possible. If anything, you should do the kind of audit work and the planning before you even start the work with them. And that's how you want to basically package your services and send them that email. And then again, just let it be, let it breathe. My clients that when I signed a $13,000 a month client with this exact process, they went dark for a month and I didn't even follow up with them. And then they reached out to me again. So just be patient with it. I've had times with clients where it's taken like a few days for them to respond. Sometimes they respond within the next day, within a few hours. There's a client I'm currently working with at 10K a month that responded within literally minutes and just said, let's go. So it really depends. It's just such a case by case basis, but moral of the story, be patient. And then this is step 6, where you're going to focus on delivering a great client experience, because the first impression when you start working with a client really sets the stage for the rest of the client relationship. And here I like to use, and what I personally use, is a client portal system. There's a lot of them out there. The one that I use is assembly.com. It used to be called Copilot. They recently just rebranded to Assembly. And that's the tool that I use to invoice my clients and create my packages and do all the reporting and communications. It's mostly all through Assembly. And here in my Assembly dashboard, as you can see, I have these product packages for the different, SEO service packages that I have created. And in here, once somebody agrees to work with me, I add them as a client, have their email, and then I basically send them invoices through Assembly. So usually what I like to do is I start on the first of the month is what I like to start at. And usually I'll start shipping content that first week of the month, but I won't actually invoice them until halfway through the month. So like around the 15th, and then I give the payment like a 2-week deadline to pay. This is totally up to you. Like some companies and some service providers will bill everything up front before the work even starts. Some businesses will bill at the very end of the month. I like to bill kind of in the middle. It's like a sweet spot. And I do this too because at this point I have been in contact with this new client for probably a few months now, because I wrote them a guest post. There's been a lot of back and forth emails. I might have already hopped on a call. I've probably already hopped on a call with them, seen them face to face. I maybe even met them in person. I've built this relationship with them. And that's really, if there's a big takeaway here too, is like when you go out and sell services, whether it's SEO services or any agency you build, you're in the business of relationships, and you have to nurture these and literally become friends with these people. And that at this point, like, I'm usually cool and friends with the founders of these companies, so I know that they're not just gonna not pay me, and they know that I'm not gonna just do terrible work for them. I'm gonna care about the quality of my work. And really what has helped me too is I've been able to build Marketer Milk on the side of all of this stuff, and a lot of my clients subscribe to my newsletter, they read my stuff, and so they've already built that trust with me, which is why I keep going back to saying that it's great to sell SEO services, but this skill is so versatile. You can use it to get a job in SEO, you can use it to sell SEO services, and you can use it to build your own media companies. So try to do at least 2 of those things. Don't just stick to one of them, because that other thing you do, especially if you go and build a media company in your niche and founders read it, then it just builds that trust. So I'm going off tangent here, but just start working with them. And then what I do is I just start working with them and ship stuff before they have to pay, so they see that value again. And it also keeps me accountable to not slack off, because I know that I have to still bill them while I'm working. And really at this point, just do amazing work. Remind yourself that this is going to be a great case study as you're working with them. So don't slack off. Don't use AI generated content. Just listen to the stuff that I've mentioned around how to write content and ship good content in the video that I mentioned. Watch my video on how I would start a blog in 2026 if you want to build a media company. If you want to learn about the content strategy stuff, I mentioned a lot of this in my free affiliate marketing course. That's like 4 hours long. I'll leave a little thing up top that you can access it. But just do great work and be excited about the work, because this can turn out to be a really great case study that then you'll use in a different level of signing bigger clients, and a lot easier, like shortening the time frame to signing. The first client the first big client, like this $6,500 a month was my first huge client. The timeline for that to happen can take a while. I started with a guest post in March of 2022, and I went into talking with them in October of potentially working together to actually signing this deal in like December or January of the following year. So it took like a good 9 months. But then to sign my first 10K a month client took 2 months, and to sign my 13K a month client took about a month and a half. And so it shortens when you have case studies. But if you have to, charge less in the beginning. And if you're working with a client and you think you're really undervaluing yourself after like 3 months and there's results showing, you can, kind of negotiate and tell them that you want to up your prices or increase the scope of the work, or just go out and find a new client at a new price from the beginning. So that's it. I'm not going to go too much into like the full client onboarding and how I do that with Assembly. If you want to see videos on that, leave a comment below. But hopefully by now you have the full 6 steps of basically going through and creating a killer pitch, focusing on the delivery of that pitch, repeating those first 2 steps in step 3, then following up on what you did and giving them another free offer, to then packaging and pitching your offer, and then delivering an amazing client experience. And if you do all this stuff and you give it enough time and you do great work, I promise you that you can actually make a very fruitful living selling SEO and content services to businesses. All right, that's it for this one. Much love. Peace out. See you in the next one.